Hello. Oh, is we talking cookies? Oh, man. Shout out to everybody for checking in. Shop.lupefiasco.com, per the usual. Go in there and grab you some Tetsuo and Youth t-shirt and hoodie all week. Limited time only till Friday. So make sure you go in there and grab that. Adhesion Nutrition, per the usual. Slap a couple dollars, send it to them babies. Big shout out to everybody who sent in a graphic designer to the post the other day. It was a little ridiculous. I didn't know there was that many graphic designers in the world, but shout to everybody that either tagged somebody or somebody who tagged themselves. Gonna go through everything over the next few days. I don't want to say don't do it, but yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of people to go through. But man, shout out to everybody who sent something through. Appreciate that. What was that other thing? Was that it? Yeah, I think that was it. I went through some, so got the t-shirt. Oh yeah, and everybody should have received their merch from the first food or the second food and liquor drop, the tie-dye stuff with my face on it. I actually got mine too not too long ago. So yeah, that should be coming in, and the drops should be coming in rather consistently for folks. I know we had a couple issues at the warehouse. Didn't really have anything to do with deliveries and stuff like that, but definitely a couple hitches, but all should be well. Yeah, it should be coming in now for everybody who's like, man, where's my food and liquor stuff ordered 3 months ago? It should be arriving shortly. Just know when you get merch from me, unless you at a show and you actually get it physically, if it's not something that we got in stock, like we had all that wavy stuff in stock. But if it's new stuff, it's gonna be a little minute. It's gonna be a little while, unless it's some stuff that we order in stock. Right now, we only make what you buy, and we don't start making it until we get all the orders in. And yeah, if you're overseas, yeah. If you're overseas, it's gonna be a while. But I really appreciate it, man. And if you're having any issues, if it get too crazy, if it's having any issues, let me know. I'm trying to figure it out. I know some people was having issues, but it was because they had moved, and it was weird and stuff like that. So, we can't be responsible for everything, especially if you're moving around a lot or whatever. If you're missing deliveries and stuff like that, sometimes stuff gets sent back or whatever. But just know on our side, for the most part, everything is going out as planned. So, but if it's getting ridiculous, let me know. Definitely don't want y'all to feel like y'all just getting screwed over or whatever. What do you say? Cookies? Yes. So yo, shout to DoubleTree. That's right, the DoubleTree Hilton Hotel Group, who just randomly yesterday, we were talking about plant-based cookies, right? And it's this. Don't get me wrong, it was a delicious ass photo of a stack of really delicious looking chocolate chip cookies that popped up on my Instagram feed, and I was like, yo, them cookies look banging. And I think I clicked on it to go through to see what it was. I think it might be one of those ones where they just send you like a recipe and you make it yourself, which is suboptimal for my lazy ass. But it was they were like, their tag thing was like the cookies were plant-based. And I was like, yo, man, cookies always been plant-based. And I had a little comedic rant on Twitter about how cookies have been plant-based. They are plant-based. Is there egg in it? Some cookies. Is there milk? Some cookies. But that's not the base, right? The base is flour and sugar. You don't eat cookies for the milk, right? You don't eat cookies for the eggs. You eat cookies for the flour and the sugar. And those come from plants. So cookies have already been plant-based. So people just haphazardly throwing around plant-based. And I don't think it's fair to the things that have been plant-based. And I think some people are being a little disingenuous with that. And just because you remove milk from something doesn't mean that it's plant-based, especially if it's always been plant-based. I'm sick of it. Sick of the shit, man. But anyway, in that process, DoubleTree, somebody asked me who had the best cookies in the world. And I promptly responded that it's the DoubleTree. Now, if you don't know what we're talking about, because either you're too rich and you're Drake and you hate the DoubleTree, not saying Drake hates the DoubleTree, but you know how Drake be like. Drake like, y'all still driving Toyotas? Psst. 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 I want to get hit by a Toyota in the streets. I would have my Rolls Royce run over me after I got hit by a Toyota just to make sure I didn't die from getting hit by a Toyota. Like, come on, Drake, man. Let us live, man. Let us cheap, broke niggas live, man. But anyway, if you don't know what the double, if you don't know, I'm just joking. You know y'all know I love Drake, man. If DoubleTree hotels, they make amazing cookies, right? And me, because we are cheap on the road, I'm not staying at the Ritz. I'm not coming to your town and staying at the Intercontinental. You crazy. We at the DoubleTree, goddammit. We are economic when we out on the road. All I need is a bed and some cookies, man. And so DoubleTree hotels, one of their claims to fame is that they got amazing cookies. Like, they got like some bomb ass cookies. At the front desk, you check in. They're like, oh, sir, here's your room key. And oh, would you like some cookies? They're fresh and warm for you. And they bring out the little paper bag, little paper sleeve with some bomb ass cookies in it. And they're not free, because you still have to get a hotel room. That's why people's like, man, them cookies. So anyway, DoubleTree was like, yo, I responded to dude. I was like, yo, DoubleTree for the win on the who got the best cookies consistently over time, and they fired DoubleTree. Now, yes, there are some other cookie spots that make bomb cookies. Don't get me wrong. Insomnia Cookies in New York or in different parts. I knew about them because of being in New York. Insomnia Cookies is bomb, but their ice cream sandwiches with the cookies is what's bomb. That's what you need to put yourself up on, is the ice cream sandwiches at Insomnia Cookies. But yes, there are other cookie spots that are like bomb. Like, I'm not mad at well, am I mad at, what's the name of that? Not Sam. Otis. What's the name of the cookie shop that be at the airport or in the mall? Famous Amos? Is it Famous Amos? I don't know. I'm struggling. But there are some cookie spots that are, they're good. They're good. There's not that many, though, that specialize in cookies, right? There's like other things that they be serving. Yes, do I have homies who make bomb cookies? For sure. Nikki Jean makes a mean cookie. Not to be discounted. Nikki Jean makes a mean cookie, right? But that's a whole process. She got to send them to you and make them and the whole thing. It's a process getting cookies from Nikki Jean. But when you get them, that Miss Fields, thank you, Mrs. Fields cookies. Nikki Jean cookies are bomb. But The best? DoubleTree, man. DoubleTree Hotel lobby cookies. Oh man, they are good, man. They real good. So anyway, DoubleTree chimed in and was like, yo, shout to is it DL Bryant? DoubleTree chimed in and was like, they said like, if you are what you say you are, you're a superstar. And they put like a cookie thing. It was pretty funny. And I was like, yeah, DoubleTree. I finally, Senpai has noticed me. I've been acknowledged by the DoubleTree Hotel Group and my love for their cookies. And it was like one of the OG fan homies was like, yo, y'all should send Lupe some cookies. And then DoubleTree was like, Lupe, you want some cookies? And I was like, you know I want some cookies. And so they was like, we're gonna send you some cookies, man. So DoubleTree is right now sending your boy a whole bunch of cookies. Oh my God. I can't wait to get these cookies, man. They sending me a whole lot of cookies. So I told the fans yesterday, I was like, look, next time we do an IG Live, we're going to talk about not necessarily cookies, but cookies is what started it. But it's like, man, shout out to DoubleTree. Even though I ain't got them yet, sending them cookies. When I get the cookies, I'm going to show y'all what these cookies is about. Yeah. Nothing on Toll House. I mean, Toll House ain't bad. I'm not knocking homemade cookies. Don't get me. I ain't coming in here knocking cookies. I'm not saying that cookies is nasty or that these cookies is gross. I like gas station butter cookies, from the gas station in Chicago, I like the ones with the 4 lines in them that you press your fingers in and mash them down or whatever they use. I like those. Peanut butter cookies is the bomb. But I'm saying, if you never had the DoubleTree cookies, next time you drive past the DoubleTree, go in there and be like, Lupe said, make sure you say Lupe sent me so I can continue to get cookies from DoubleTree Hotel Group for the rest of my life. And possibly some free stays at some of them more finer establishments on the outskirts of town. You understand? So, nestled right there by the mall. That's where I'm trying to be. But no, if you can, you pull up past DoubleTree and you ain't never had it, go in there and be like, hey man, Lupe, make sure you say Lupe Fiasco, because there's nobody else at that name Lupe Fiasco. Like, hey, Lupe Fiasco was on Instagram yesterday, or today, if you go today. Like, hey, Lupe Fiasco was on Instagram, and he was like, hey, I ain't never had a DoubleTree cookie. He said it was an experience. Can y'all give me some DoubleTree? Can I have a cookie? And they might be like, hell no, hell no. Or they might be like, for sure, man. We'll get you a cookie, man. But I think you got to be a guest. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. But I think you need to be a guest. So do that. And when I get my cookies from DoubleTree, I'm gonna show the folks who ain't seen it. You gonna be obedient? Just get one cookie, man. I mean, I work. You work out so you can indulge in the delicious things. You know what I'm saying? They supposed to be at the outskirts of your diet, and if you working out and you put in that grind and you willing to deal with the consequences of eating all them cookies, then you good. So I'm definitely gonna eat all of them when I get them. You gotta have a room. I think if you go in there and you beg them and you say, man, Lupe Fiasco, they're like, who is Lupe Fiasco? They're like, y'all know who Lupe Fiasco is. They're like, all right, cool. He sent you? Like, yeah, he sent me, man. And then tell him, like, DoubleTree sent him some cookies and that he is pimping this situation into the ground. So not only is he making people aware of your business, he's also making people aware that y'all got some bomb-ass cookies. And I'm like, you know what? He right. Go on take half of one of these big old things, man. Go ahead. Yeah, the Insomnia ice cream cookie sandwich is a trouble. That is a trouble. Whenever I get to New York or I get anywhere where there's an insomnia and I feel like doing it, because it comes with a cost. All that dairy, it's gonna hurt you bad if you if you lactose intolerant. It's gonna hurt you bad. But I mean, you ain't got to eat it all, and it's like 2,000 calories. Like it is 1 a.m. and I'm going to eat a 2,000 calorie ice cream sandwich. So the best thing I would say to do, just go in there, pay for it. It's a little bit pricey, but go and get that. Tell them Lupe sent you. They're like, man, Lupe sent me in to get the ice cream sandwich. They're like, man, Lupe been sending people around to get cookies all over town. Like, I wonder what the fuck is going on. Just don't worry about it. Go on in there. It'll take you a Lactaid before you go in. But, it is an experience to have. I normally get a chocolate chip and a peanut butter cookie for the bottom and the top. They warm, they banging, and they put the ice cream in there. That shit is absolute fire. You ain't got to eat the whole thing. You'll get the gist just eating a couple of them pieces, a couple of them things. You'll be good. You'll be good. Hey, Tony in here. Oh, what's up, Tony? Tony, let me borrow like $30, man. Like $30. That's how many cookies come out. Sometimes they come out the oven when you order. Sometimes they don't necessarily make them from scratch though, but they do be warm and they do be delicious. They do be, but I think that they claim to fame. If certain cookies is fire from there, like the chocolate chip, it's hard to mess that up. They got a peanut butter situation, but they claim to fame. I don't know if you ever had this TV. Is the ice cream sandwiches? The ice cream sandwiches is the bomb. The bomb. Oh yeah, they got them in the Walmart. Yeah, they got them underneath the counter. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of the snickerdoodles, man. Like snickerdoodles is. I mean, I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand what I'm eating. Like, because my mind thinks of Snickers and then doo-doo. And it's like, this is snickerdoodoo? Like, what is this? Like, that's what my mind goes with. I don't necessarily understand the flavor base. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand peanut butter cookie is peanut butter. Chocolate chip is because it's chocolate chips in it. Oatmeal because it's oatmeal in it. I don't know about the snickerdoodle cookie, man. My expectations that it has Snicker inside of it, but it don't. That throws me for a little bit of a loop. Yeah, the peanut butter. Shout out to Tony. Hold on. Tony? You sliding in? You want to come on in for a couple minutes, man? Or you chilling? Come on here and vibe with me on some cookie business. And then maybe I'll let you get some of these. I'll hook you up with this DoubleTree Connect. You understand what I'm saying? Let you go tap you in with the supplier, the Pablo, huh? Does that what need to happen? So snickerdoodle is what? Is just a butter cookie rolled in cinnamon sugar. I guess that ain't necessarily that doesn't necessarily seem like something that needs its own name. You know what I'm saying? I think you should just call it a cinnamon sugar cookie. Like, I don't think it needs to have snickerdoodle. Snickerdoodle slander got you heated. Listen, man, I'm not coming. Cookies, there is no cookie. There's a couple cookies that need their ass whooped. But for the most part, I am not a cookie hater, man. I will deal with any cookie in any capacity. They have proven themselves. Cookies have nothing less to prove. That's why I was a little disturbed yesterday with the whole plant-based cookie nonsense. as if they was improving on cookies, right? Or they was doing something that cookies ain't never done before. Like cookies already did that. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't make Jay-Z famous. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z wrote his own raps. Just because you listen to him, that didn't make Jay-Z better. He been nice. You know what I'm saying? That's what be having me a little bit perturbed. There's nothing. The cookie has been plant-based since its inception. Goddamn it! You slapping your little newfangled organic tag on it don't make it any less better or any worse. It's probably nastier, to be honest. Probably a little bit nasty. You're probably doing a disservice to the cookie. You just need to go and let it ride. Some things don't need to have their component parts dealt with or fondled with. You can't be out here molesting these cookies like that, man. Let that cookie live. It's you putting trauma into that cookie's life, right? That it's gonna have to deal with for the entirety of its short lifespan. Cookies don't last that long. You in here playing with it. Let it live its full life, man. As a full-fledged cookie. It ain't gotta have this extra tag and shit on it. But most cookies are delicious. It's a few cookies that are terrible, but it's the most cookies. And whatever place you put them are good. So I'm not slandering or coming down upon the snickerdoodle cookie. I will invest into a snickerdoodle cookie, but I was just saying I don't understand. Its name has nothing to do with its objectivity, if that makes any sense. Like peanut butter cookie, chocolate chip cookie. You see what I'm saying? But snickerdoodle, I thought I was eating some Snickers. I thought it was like this Snickers. It influenced the Snicker in some way, or was influenced by the Snicker candy bar in some way. But that's not the case. That's all. That's all I was saying, man. That's all I was saying. White chocolate macadamia. Ain't white chocolate not chocolate though? White chocolate's not chocolate. Ain't it like cocoa butter? Ain't that what it is? DL Bryant, thank you for the for influencing that DoubleTree cookie situation. I'm not giving you one. Just because you put it together, that don't mean I'm sharing. You got to get your own. And I'm sure DoubleTree, you slide in their DMs, they will take care of you. But I'm not giving you shit. Just so we clear, okay? Okay, just want to make sure that the boundaries are understood and respected of my selfishness. Some of you call it selfish. I call it about, what did I say to myself yesterday? I redefined selfishness as, yeah, you call it selfishness. I call it sticking to what I know best. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't think white chocolate is chocolate. I just don't think that they can call it. I just don't think that they have found a word that sounds appealing. Like chocolate as a brand name. I mean, you can put that on a porno. Like, man, this is chocolate volume 2. You already know what you finna get. You know what I'm saying? You can put it on just that name. But they can't really do that because they competing with they competing with actual chocolate. So they can't name it. They can't be that bold. And it's not really a metaphor. So I think they just need to call it something else. And they just stuck with white chocolate. But I don't think there's a such thing as white chocolate. I think it's just like a brand name. Because you know what's like white chocolate, what people consider to be white chocolate, but it's not, and they don't call it white chocolate. I think it's that them Hershey's cookies and cream bars, which is back to cookies is relevant. Cookies and cream bars, which are fire, which are fire. But that's not chocolate though. Right? I think so. I think that's okay. M&M's and cookies. I mean, they tried. People try. Don't get me wrong. People definitely tried to throw an M&M in a cookie, right? And here's my issue with that, right? Here's my issue with that. Is most cookie recipes, most classic cookie recipes, because the M&M cookie is definitely not a classic cookie recipe. Most cookie recipes, I think that, of course, you get a bunch of people on the extremes, right? Doing all kinds of shit, putting pretzels in cookies and all kinds of wild extracurricular things. But most of it has like evolved and kind of recentered itself, de-evolved back into its main pieces, right? Like we know that a chocolate chip is going to work in a cookie when you bake it, right? We know it's going to recongeal and reaffirm itself once it cools down in a certain way and you're going to be good. Like, you know how a butter cookie is going to react. You know how a peanut butter cookie is going to react. When you bake it, you bring it out, you eat it warm or whatever. You know how the ingredients are going to react with each other. I don't think that hard shell candies react well in the cookie environment. So it's like, what is your concern? Is it focusing on the M&M and its kind of limitations? Right? And it's what it needs or is required in the cookie baking environment? Or are you focused on the cookie? And I think sometimes the cookie loses for the sake of the M&M, right? Trying to preserve the M&M and maintain its aesthetic, the cookie loses. Because I felt like I've had like some M&M cookies where the cookie portion of it was a little bit lacking. Right? Maybe it was too dense. So, how cookies sometimes be too mushy or whatever. And I think it's because they're trying to preserve the aesthetic and maybe even the flavor profile integrity of the M&M versus the cookie. And you wind up everybody losing. Everybody loses. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't want no goddamn M&Ms. You should have just got some M&Ms. Right? So I don't know if M&Ms stand up to being cooked again. You see what I'm saying? Now, if there's a way to put M&Ms inside of maybe a cooling cookie as it's cooling down and then you just poke some on the top, but then I don't know how. Then what's that? I don't even know what that is. You might as well start putting M&Ms in your cornflakes and wild things of that nature, So, to your point, I'm a little bit of a what works. The oatmeal raisin works. The chocolate chip works. The peanut butter works. The snickerdoodle to the folks who out there who love it, obviously it works. As many fans, certainly, it works. And the what I do not like. What I don't like. This is the cookie that I don't like. You ready? I do not like double chocolate cookies. You know what I'm talking about? A double chocolate chip cookie. Right? And then some people, I don't know why they do this, they put a block of that quote unquote white chocolate in there. So they'll do, because white chocolate is too sweet because it's not chocolate, right? It's anyway. They'll put a double chocolate. That means that the cookie itself is chocolate. Then they'll put chocolate chips in it. Then they'll put the white chocolate substitute in there. That's not a delicious cookie, man. It's not, man. It's not a delicious cookie. It's not. And y'all need to stop doing that. Right? It's not good. We buy it because it's there. Right? But it's not good. It's never been an outstanding cookie. The balance between the bitterness, like chocolate needs to have a little bit of bitter in it, right? That's what makes it stand out from the sweet. So you don't want to have sweet. That's foolish. right? That is a sign of incompetence. This nigga just sink shivers through the cookie world, right? You still gotta have multiple flavor profiles when you're dealing with a cookie, man. You can't just have. It's not always about being sweet, right? It's you gotta have a certain balance. And I feel like that those double chocolate chip is, you got too bitter. It's like bitter, then sweet, then a motherfucker, and it doesn't captivate. Like, I think people think the way it looks aesthetically, like that doesn't play out in the mouth at all. What about macadamia nut? And this is why I love the DoubleTree cookie, and this is why I'm a stand on it. Even unsponsored, they not paying me. They finna pay me in cookies. But if we talking about cookies and we're gonna keep it legit, man, you can't get paid for everything. Like, I wish I could, but you can't, man. You like some things, speak on it in public. If they show you some love, show some love back. That's what it is. It ain't about constantly getting a check from people. But if they want to throw me something, fine. I'm not tripping. I'm not finna go crazy over the shit. But that's why I bring up DoubleTree, because DoubleTree cookie has nuts in it, right? It has nuts. I think it has like I don't know if they're pecans. It might be walnuts, right, in it, and it provides because sometimes the cookies can be mushy, right? So especially if it's heated, that the cookie itself is gonna be a little bit loose. The chocolate chip's gonna be melted. And then the nuts provide some firmness and some crunch, right, to the cookie situation. Y'all didn't know I do this, man. My mama was a chef. I'm a nerd when it comes to this shit. There is some stability and some crunch, right? And the nut that nuts aren't necessarily particularly they're not gonna respond, at least texturally, from being cooked. They might most nuts are already roasted and dried out anyway. But they're not going to get nothing's going to happen to them for the most part when you go through another cooking process. So nuts in a cookie, if done right, and especially used with a certain utility of saying like, okay, we got this whole spectrum of things and profiles and textural elements that we're trying to accomplish. So if you're using it very intentionally, right, then it's like, yeah, that it works. I don't know if macadamia nuts lend themselves to a cookie. I think they fall into the same category as a M&M, only in the sense that a M&M is very specific. Meaning that it's like a little island, right, in the cookie, and you're only going to experience it in that bite, right? Whereas if you have something that's a little bit more flatter and distributed, like a pecan or say a walnut or something like that, which has a little bit more surface area, right? Then it distributes it itself across the cookie, right, in a more thorough way, as opposed to just being an island in there with one bite and you got a whole bite of macadamia in one cookie, which may overpower the cookie experience. You understand what I'm saying? Unless you're having like a cookie that's this, and mind you, I'm gonna show y'all when I get the cookies. A DoubleTree cookie is about as big as my face, right? When you're dealing with cookies like that, you need to make sure that your flavor profiles, your textural elements are distributed evenly across the whole face of the cookie. Unless you're doing very small cookies. Now, if you're doing a very small cookie, similar to say, I don't know if y'all ever seen those, I think they're like Knott's Berry Farms cookies, where there's directly in the middle the jam, right? The fruit is like directly in the middle of the cookie, or like those cookies that might have just one big chocolate chip right in the center, but they're relatively small cookies, right? And they're meant so you can have a bite. You can, in 360 around a cookie, you always gonna have a little bit of the jelly or the jam or a little bit of that big ass chip, whatever it is, in the cookie, but it's a small cookie. When you start to expand the size of the cookie, you got to be careful with how you distribute that shit around. If you're doing a macadamia cookie with a very small macadamia cookie, right, where you can eat it in one bite, then maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. Oh, yeah, like Sandy's. Yeah, like Sandy's. Like, for sure, like Sandy's. Where Sandy's has, I think, pecans, right? That's a well-distributed cookie, too. But if you're grinding maybe if you're breaking the nuts up and you're grinding them up similar to like like you're creating like a dust of nuts, like how people put peanuts on a sundae, that would be different. Also, I'm gonna say this. I've had some peanut butter cookies that had whole peanuts in them. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I think it might be best to just use like a chunky peanut butter with the peanuts already broken up and distributed without. I mean, was it bad? I don't think it was bad, but it was, it visually it's a little off-putting, but I don't know about that. Putting whole peanuts in a peanut, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, like you chop them up, like chop the nuts up. Yeah. Is that it? Are we done? Are we done here? I think we're done here. I think this conversation has went on a little bit too long. Got a favorite Girl Scout cookie, Lupe? I'm not mad at those chocolate mint joints. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at the chocolate mint. I don't like coconut, so that kind of cuts out, I think, a one or two of them. But I'm not mad at the chocolate mint joints. Lemon cookies? I don't smoke weed. Just FYI, I don't smoke. Because clearly I don't fucking need it. If I smoked weed, there would be a life-size Lego castle that I've built somewhere in this world. Fully life-size, fully operational with electricity and water and sewage. But all of it would be Lego. The water would be Lego. Like, if I smoked weed, this world would be a whole nother place. So I don't, because I don't need it. I got to balance it out. I'm just waiting for when my joints and my body turns on me in the future. And then I actually need weed to take the pain out of my fucking joints from doing karate for 100 years. Other than that, I can't. So no. I don't even want it. No, thank you. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Are you being paid for Superstar being used to promote the Kobe trailer? I don't know. And we actually are working on that. Thank you for pointing that out. I have no idea, because from what I understand, we have not been reached out to. I love me some Kobe, man. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Kobe Bryant, man. Love his legacy. Love it all, man. Whatever the family needs. You will see no resistance from Lupe Fiasco. But I don't know. I don't know who put that together. And we talking to the team now to see what's what. Maybe it got slipped through the cracks somewhere, but I have no idea. But I don't think it's an issue, and I think it's something that could be settled very, very easily. But it would be nice to have been alerted that was what was going to happen We not hard to get in touch with, man. But you never know. Some people may felt like they was doing something and didn't. So we figuring that out right now. But either way, happy to be a part of it in that capacity, and to be a part of that brother's telling his story. So I'm with it. It's actually titled Superstar. Yeah, I know. I saw we saw it yesterday, and the first thing I asked was like, did they ask us could they do that? Like, what the fuck is going on in the streets? But like I said, it's not a big deal. Gifted intel. My nephew's named Kobe, so I mean, he's named after Kobe Bryant. So trust me, I'm all there with you. What did the homie say? Gifted intel. What's up, homie? He asked about have you ever experienced depression, and if so, what's some tips to break through? Everybody experiences depression, man. One way or another. I've seen some studies where depression is a normal part of our genetic makeup, as a self-defense mechanism. That's one of the theories, and they're proving it through kind of genetic analysis of why we do what we do and what we are from a genetic standpoint, as opposed to just a behavioral, observational kind of psychological standpoint, more from like a neurological standpoint, is that depression is a defense mechanism, or a part of your and somewhat an extension of your immune system, in the sense that you when you're sick, you experience depression to keep you from going around, and because your immune system is weakened when you're sick, to go out and be around possibly other things to make you sicker, and to force your body to rest, so that your immune system can kind of take over. That's one point I heard. Some people like, that's bullshit, man, and I'm sure there'll be. I don't really care, but that's just some studies that I felt that make a lot more sense to me than some of the just more purely emotional based ideas about depression, without having a grasp or a understanding of the potential neurological roots and genetic roots of depression. And not genetic in a sense where it's a particular family, it runs through the family, kind of hereditary, but genetic in terms of like all human beings, all animals even, that have a genetic predisposition towards a certain level of depression in the face of certain external pressures. So you become depressed in those capacities to allow your body to heal and to keep you from going around people who could potentially make you sicker, right? That's different from, chemical imbalances and psychosis and stuff like that, mania and thing. I'm not talking about that, but just like genuine kind of general kind of depression states that aren't rooted in like a schizo episode or something like that. Or like a reaction to like alcohol, or a drop in dopamine, because you're high all the fucking time or something like that, right? Not something like that. But so that's kind of the framework that I operate, at least now. I updated how I look at depression from that standpoint, but still understanding that there are other social depressions, which are more emotional based. So if we're talking about like emotional depression, yeah, what is that tied to? I think it's tied to your expectations, mostly your expectations not being met. And one of the ways that I get around that is to look at what my expectations were or are, and then readjusting them in the face of actual quantitative data, right? Meaning that what did I actually want to get out of that particular situation that I didn't receive? And if I had received it, what were the quantitative benefits or that I would achieve from it? And would those quantitative benefits that I would have achieved from that particular thing come into fruition have made me happier, or if not, and it was the other way around, would it disallow me from being able to achieve my initial goals? So sometimes our initial goals, a lot of the shit that we do in life is an extension of kind of like an initial goal, like a very primary thing that we will want to do. And there's a lot of the other shit is just arms out or extensions of things that we try and do and eventually kind of migrate back to accomplishing that goal. But it's not necessarily the goal itself, right? It's the route to the goal or a piece. So you want to make something, you want to make a cookie. So you go get the chocolate chips, but they don't have the chocolate chips that you want. So then you got to drive to Alaska to get the chocolate chips that you want, right? But then that's just the chocolate chips. And that's not the cookie. That's just the chocolate chips. And then that has its own set of things. Then you got to get the flour, and then you got to get the milk, and then you got to get all the other shit. And they're all separate. But at the end of the day, the goal was to make a cookie. So if you're not making a cookie, you just did all this shit, but you still ain't made a cookie. I mean, that has some impact on a person, right? Failure, stuff like that. But then you got to kind of reassess that initial goal and be like, was the cookie really that fucking important for me to jump out of a window for? You know, now you can't have no more cookies. So I think it's something about managing your expectations, personally, professionally, whatever, and really looking at the impact of if you achieve that thing, is it actually going to change your quantitative life? Is it going to make you live less longer, right? Is it going to make you live longer? I fucking doubt it, right? Most things don't have a direct effect on you. It just doesn't work like that. It's what you mentally define. And shout out to my brother Mufti Abu Laif, who put up something actually a few days ago about depression, where depression is not necessarily the objective thing happening, because it's not going to kill you, right? It's not going to affect you physically. It's not going to come to your house and fuck you up. But it's how we project and define it for ourselves, the meaning behind it, the metaphor of it. You know, that's where we get fucking depressed. That's what we allow to affect us, because meaning can't affect you physically. Meaning only affects you emotionally. And you can say, well, your brain is physical, so it affects that. But that's not, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Meaning doesn't chop off your arm, right? The meaning behind an event definitely will, right? Will definitely make you cry, make you happy, or, you know, make you depressed or make you excited, whatever. And it's how much do we have control over processing the meaning of the events and the things that happen around us. And if you have little to no control and you're just super emotional for it, then you're going to be fucked up all the time, right? You're going to be depressed all the time because you don't have control over the meaning aspect of it. So I think one tactic is to look at, like, what does this, not what this fucking thing means, because it can mean all kinds of shit depending on what day you wake up and what lens and what perspective you see it from. But it's like, what is it actually? Like, what is it? And what is it doing? What is it giving me quantitatively, physically, right? That changes the game. Like, that changes the dynamic a lot, you know, as opposed to trying to reframe what it means to you. Why don't you just address it for what it actually is and the utility that you actually get from it? And I think for the most part, we'll see you don't really get shit from things. You know, it's how you use them and how you organize them and apply them to other things that you get, you know, benefit and shit out of, you know. So that's my piece on that. I was thinking something that was relative to that the other day, Lou. It's like, if we did a survey, like if you went around and you did a survey and you asked people, what has the federal government done to you directly? In response to people saying that they don't trust the government, they hate the government, all that shit, right? And then all of the stuff that comes out of that, again, all of those journeys that occur and extensions that occur out of that core goal of your mistrust for the government. And then it becomes another rabbit hole is how do you show your mistrust for the government? Like, how do you express your mistrust for the government? Like, and is your expression of mistrust for the government actually hurting the government, right? Or is it just hurting yourself? That question, but that's the rabbit hole. The original question was, and it'd be interesting to see here now in these last few minutes, what has the government ever done to you directly, right? In a negative capacity. That kind of question, like, changes things from my point of view, because I asked myself that question, right? And that's why I say this process of kind of grounding yourself in the actual objectives of what's actually happening to you quantitatively that you can hold in your hand, right? Changes how you go through life. And for me, that was one of the things that I got through depression, that you get through those kind of dark emotional states. You have to kind of consciously and actively say, like, what the fuck is this really doing to me? And for the most part, nothing. There's unless you're like a victim of like the armed forces, police aren't ran by the government, the federal government. But if you're talking about, I'm talking about local government or municipal government. Most motherfuckers don't even know who their mayor is. Like, who the mayor of your town? Like, oh man, what's that lady name? Booty Bottoms? Lance Booty Bottoms. Lance Booties Bottoms. Keisha Bottoms. That's the Keisha Bottoms. That's the lawyer, man. That's the mayor. You said mayor, right? Yeah, that's our mayor. Like, most motherfuckers don't even fucking know. That was a little shot, but I'm just joking. Actually, I'm not joking. But the federal government, which is what most people direct their energies toward, most motherfuckers ain't down to, like, I'm gonna go fuck the mayor up. Like, no, you're not. Most people, they direct their angst and anger toward the federal government. So then you're like, okay, well, what has the federal government done to you directly? And you'd be hard pressed to find something that the federal government has done in the time in which you were alive. Not what they did to your cousin, not what they did to your great-great-grandfather or your friends or those people who live in another country. What did they do to you? And for most Americans, for the vast majority of Americans, nothing. The federal government doesn't know shit about you. They just know about your social security number and how they're collecting your taxes. That's it. But they don't give two shits about your life. How many guns you got, to come to take your guns away from you. Like, for the most part, because it's too executive. Like, it's too macro. Like, they kind of don't care. Unless something is reaching like a critical mass or whatever. But again, back to this question, right? What has the government done to you directly? Right? Like, quantitatively, not, and I see, shout out to my brother, Miss Legacy Jones, not what they could have done, but what did they do to you directly today, right now, right? And in the course of your life, What has the federal government done to you? And when I think about that, and I'll speak on myself. I'm not trying to speak on anybody else's behalf. To me, directly, that I can point to, nothing. Like directly. But what about the environment, Lupe? Like that's companies. That's us. Like we're responsible for that shit. We the ones who use electricity and, you know, and those things are, most of those are private companies that are just regulated by the government so niggas don't fuck the world up all the way. So even in that case, it's more of a sense that the government is actually on the side of trying to make that shit, make these motherfuckers behave, versus like, you know, promoting motherfuckers killing shit, right? So when you think of most things that are done to you directly, it's not really the government, it's like the corporations, right? But that wasn't the question. It was because our corporations do all kinds of shit to us. But we also do all kinds of shit to ourselves because corporations ain't coming forcing this shit down our throat. But what has the government done to you? And can you quantitatively show what the government has done to you directly to affect your daily life? You know? Government allows corporations to wild out. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. And even kind of like in aggregate, maybe you can make the claim that corporations wild out, but I don't know about that, man. I think there's more of like a cumulative effect of multiple inputs that lead to shit like environmental change, and that lead to climate change, right? You look at what are some of the biggest producers of carbon and methane emissions and shit like that. I mean, yeah, the industrial sector has its place, but the industrial sector only exists to cater to the wants and the whims of the fucking masses. So there's kind of like a uneasy reciprocity. But where's the government in that? Right? How many corporations actually obey the government? Most motherfuckers don't even obey the government, let alone have the government kind of control it. And I'm not being a spokesperson for the government. I really think that most of the blame is squarely pointed at corporations, and then second to us, who allow the shit to happen. And I think the government comes like a third or something like that. So it's not out of the blame game, but it does. When you think about who's doing the wilding, how many laws do you break every day? Just think how many misdemeanors, or in some cases felonies, do motherfuckers commit every day? Right? So how much control does the government actually have over you? How many times do people jaywalk? How many times do you just change lanes without using your signal? How many times do you not stop at stop signs? How many times do you go over the speed limit in certain environments on certain streets? How many times do you let your registration lapse? How many times do you pour shit down the sink? How many times do you flush shit down the toilet that you're not supposed to flush down the toilet? How many times a day how many times do you jaywalk? How many times do you let your dog shit in the park? How many times do you let shit that, if a police officer was there, or if say a regulator was there and was like, yo, you can't pour that shit down the sink, right? You gotta dispose of that shit properly. You can't even throw those light bulbs in the garbage can, right? You got to dispose of them in a different way. Right? So when you're looking at it like that, how much control does the government actually have on your day-to-day affairs? And then even in that case where there are laws on the books, how often do you follow those fucking laws? Right? Right? So I'm not being a spokesperson for the feds. I actually think that the people, again, I'll say it again, I think people are more to blame than the government for the daily comings and goings in our lives. I think in some cases the federal government is very much so hands off and really don't even give a fuck whether you do something or not. But I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. That's a story for later. But yeah, they don't give a fuck. They're like, the fuck out of here. And take that shit with you. Like, oh, I can keep this. They're like, yeah, just nigga, get out of here. Like, oh, okay, you're right. Thank you, agent. But to that original question, like, what has the government done to you? If the government has done nothing to you, and for some people they have. The government, the federal prosecutors railroad niggas cases, give people 1,000 years in prison. There's things to be done. Crazy audits where, they come and fuck you over from the IRS fucks you over from that, or you say that they fuck you over from that standpoint, on tax situations. So there's people who face like shit, but there's also a ton of people who get tax returns that they know, like, they sent me too much money. You gonna send it back? I'm not sending them shit. You didn't claim 14 kids and shit on your tax returns. But with that said, there are folks who've directly experienced kind of direct government either malfeasance or incompetence or abuse. Are you one of those people? Becomes the question. And if you aren't one of those people, then why spend so much energy, which is going to lead to depression, right? Why spend so much emotional intelligence and energy into distrusting something that has never done anything directly to you? That's one level of it. Now, if you're claiming that you're super empathetic, because that's what you're basically submitting to, that when you're doing it on the behalf of someone else, then it becomes like an empathetic thing, and that opens up another set of questions. But if you're doing it on behalf of someone else, then that's different. So it becomes like, okay, I'm doing it on behalf of people who who were abused by the government, who didn't have or don't have the vehicle or the platform to express their grievances to the government. That's different, right? And then there's a certain set of, that comes with a certain set of, okay, visual and kinetic engagements that one must invest oneself in for that to be the case, right? And that goes back to, again, to how do you mistrust the government in your mind, but then how do you express that mistrust physically? And then does that expression actually have an effect on the policies of government, of the federal government, of the big government, right? Or your local government, whatever. And if it does, then that's a different point. If it doesn't, then you kind of got to go back to the drawing board and ask yourself again, quantitatively, right? If it doesn't have an effect, meaning your expectations aren't met, quantitatively, you might find yourself back into a state of depression for no good reason. That's all I got to say on that. If that makes any sense. Only thing they've done to me is piss me off for not being more competent. Mural was overrated. Rush was right. Mural's overrated. Mural's not overrated at all. Like that is a super hot take. But even me stepping outside of myself and looking at Mural's not overrated at all. Mural is like exactly what it is. It's a hip hop masterpiece, and it will go down in history as one of the most prominent and not necessarily foundational, because the foundation is already laid, but it will go down as one of the standards of long form hip hop verse for sure. I know that for sure, and that's not me being egotistical or anything. That's just like, yeah, it's gonna be hard to argue against and actually have a cogent, competent argument against Mural in any capacity. The only thing that you could potentially say about Mural is the sample was done by a few other artists. Other than that, there's nothing that you can do to kind of tarnish what Mural is, period. Period. I'm just happy to have been the person to have made it. Maybe I shouldn't have been the person that have made it, but, you know, that's a different story. When you did it. We did it. We did it for y'all, and we can all enjoy what it is. Hey, Lupe, can you talk about India? Have you ever visited? Yes, I've been to India. Been to multiple cities in India. It's a very interesting place. Been there in multiple capacities too. It's cool. It's nice. There's aspects of it that are a little jarring. There's definitely a culture shock, but you know, it's a cool place. Yeah, so we talked about cookies. We talked about depression, some of the roots of depression, and what you could potentially do from a tactical standpoint to pull yourself out of depression. But it is going to require you to be very much so intentional about stepping outside of yourself, stepping outside of your expectations, and stepping outside of your wants and needs and desires, and really looking objectively at the things that you're trying to accomplish, and that are, even if you accomplish them, would they actually have changed your quality of life? Right? And for the most part, the answer is no. For the most part, the answer is no. Some cases it definitely would have, but then you got to think like, okay, with that changing of your life, like if it's not like a disease or something like that, like, yeah, I want to get rid of this disease. But if it's something like material, that you could live to fight another day type situation. But if it's a situation where, no, I can't live to fight another day, like if I don't do this, I'm dead, then that's a different thing. And I wouldn't dare speak on that type of role with someone in that capacity. But most cases, that's not the case for folks. It's not. It's relationship stuff, work stuff, personal stuff, even religious stuff like that, where there's a way out of that. That doesn't require you getting on a bunch of drugs either. But it is hard. All right, we out of here, yeah? All right, that's it, man. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. When I get these cookies from Doubletree, I will definitely be posting them up in the story as me just gobbling down old delicious ass cookie meat. On my great granddaddy Gray, butter ain't meat. On my great granddaddy Gray, butter ain't meat. Butter is not meat, man. Butter may be fat. It may come from an animal, but butter is qualitatively and quantitatively not meat. Okay? It's not meat. I just want to throw that in there to close this out. Because that's what kind of triggered me yesterday on live. People talking about, man, but it's butter in cookies, as if butter is a goddamn chopped up hot dog, man. Butter's not meat. Okay? Is it from an animal? Yes, but it's all kinds of shit from animals, man. Is your couch leather? Are you wearing Nikes right now? You probably walking around on some cow's face. Right? This is not disparaged, but I'm like, let's just be fair, man. It's bacteria meat, right? Are bacteria animals? If I get enough bacteria together and they all piled together, you get billions of them sitting on the cracker, would that be considered meat or would that be considered vegetables, right? My quote is meat. I mean, it would be considered meat at scale. And guess what, man? It's bacteria on everything. All the plants, all the cookies, all the governments, all of the depression. It's bacteria on everything. Every time you put something into your body, you eating some goddamn bacteria, right? Meat. So, don't beat yourself up too much, man. Go and enjoy that goddamn cookie. All right, y'all. Peace. Thanks for everybody who donated to the Adesia. Make sure you go to AdesiaNutrition.org to figure out more about what Adesia's mission is in the world and how can you tap in and can help. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for the donations. It'll go to a very great place. Or not. Or it won't. It'll go to financing somebody's Mercedes-Benz collection. But nah, trust, that's not what it's not what's going, y'all. But yeah, appreciate everybody who donated. Y'all be well. Peace, and much love to you.